name is Sarah Kotwasser. I'm the Artist in Residence and Art Program Supervisor with Keswick Wise and Wells Center for Healthy Living in Baltimore, Maryland. And today, we're going to make something in my home studio. Today, I'm going to show you how to lay a ground of charcoal. This is a really cool technique. It allows you to apply a middle tone on your paper and then work into it using dark, harder charcoals like compressed charcoal and with an eraser to pull out the light. So let's get into it.
Okay, Trey, I got this.
You're going to want some tape. Masking tape is preferable. Doesn't matter what size though. You're also going to want some compressed charcoal. Compressed charcoal is denser, it has a much heavier black pigment, and it has a harder surface to draw with. Vine charcoal is super important. Vine charcoal is super soft, it breaks really easy, and this is what we're going to use to lay our charcoal ground. Now you can use a pink pearl eraser or a white rubber eraser. I'm using a pink pearl eraser for this process. You're going to want a paper towel or a cotton rag, preferably a cotton rag, but I'm using a paper towels here. This will help us blend the charcoal. Also, you're going to need some paper. You can use charcoal paper or Bristol board. I'm using Bristol here. We're going to start by laying some of our masking tape down in the shape of the composition we want. I'm going to lay it down in the shape of a square. Now I'm going to take my vine charcoal. I'm going to start rubbing it on the surface of my paper. I'm holding the vine charcoal on its side so that I can get more coverage. And right now for this first pass, I'm just going pretty lightly just to start building up the surface. Now if you have a table that has bumps on it, that's going to show. But that's okay because we can smooth that out. Now I'm speeding up the process so that you can see our next step. Now you're going to take your rag or your paper towel and you're going to fold it and you're going to place it down on the vine charcoal you applied to the surface and start blending. And this is a very important process. You want to go in circular motions, so you're moving the powdered charcoal around that came off the vine stick, and you're just going to keep going in that circular motion. Once you've done one pass with the charcoal and smoothed it out using your rag, then you can do another pass. We're building up the tone or the surface or the ground with the vine charcoal. So we're going to do several passes of charcoal and wiping down or rubbing into the surface. Notice this last pass, I use the charcoal a little bit more heavy, and we're getting about to the mid-tone that I want. Now that you've gotten the ground that you prefer and the tone that you prefer, you can start working into it. Here I'm just doing a couple passes of line so you can see how it works. What's especially cool about laying a vine charcoal ground or a powdered charcoal ground is that as you start developing your line work or your composition, you can soften the lines. You can also just make them disappear altogether. If you're not liking the way a drawing is going, you can just wipe that out, which is a pretty cool aspect of this process. There we go. Now I'm going to start doing the actual drawing here so you can see how this works. And I'm going to begin by drawing a sphere. Now right now I'm just laying out the compositional elements. I'm putting the sphere a little offset to create an asymmetrical composition. And by doing that, then I can kind of make evident the light source in a more interesting way for myself. So I've done my sphere and I've done a ground plane, and now I'm just articulating the very basic space where I think I might want the shadow on the surface of the table or whatever this sphere is sitting on. Now once I do that, I'm going to start working into the sphere, and what I'm doing with the vine charcoal is just building up those layers. So I'm going to do a couple passes here so you can see that as I build up the form of this object by articulating the different values on the different surface areas of the sphere. You can see I'm starting to imply a direction of light source and shadow. Now I wanted to show you a blending tool. This is a great tool when you're using a charcoal ground, but if you don't have one, you can also just use a rag. But either way, using a rag or a blending tool or even your finger is a great way to start softening those surfaces as you're building those layers. There we go. So there I'm using my finger. So think of this as like the underpainting or the underdrawing from which we're going to work. Now that I've articulated the basic aspects of it, the light source, where I want the shadow, where the values are going to move down the sphere, now I can work into it. So here I'm using the eraser to do something called cutting in, or bringing out the lights through the ground. By erasing the soft charcoal, I can reveal the light paper underneath. Now I'm just working back in with layers of vine charcoal very, very quickly here. I've sped it up for you. Now I'm pulling out that compressed charcoal and I'm working into the shadows. The shadows are the darkest element in this composition that exists underneath the sphere. So it makes sense that I'm going to use the hardest charcoal or the darkest charcoal to start building that shadow, so it's very evident. That also lends three-dimensional quality to our drawing. Now I'm just working back in using blending tools and the vine to articulate the surface on which the sphere sits, and then also just cutting in with that eraser, really creating a direction of light, darkening those shadows. I think we got it. I think we're pretty much done. Maybe I'll just do a couple tweaks here. Yeah, I think we're pretty close. I might even sign this drawing. I like it a lot. There we go. Yeah, done, I think. Well, okay, maybe not done. Maybe just let me fix this part real quick. Even out that table or whatever the sphere is sitting on. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Almost there. Okay, done for real. This is a pretty cool technique, right? I thought so, though I am choosing the theme for the video. This is a technique I learned in art school in basic drawing, and it's a really cool way to make a drawing because it allows you to start really softly and build up those lines and build up those shadows and lights to create really three-dimensional looking imagery. What I like most about this process is that you're just starting in a neutral spot, because when you start a drawing on white paper and you're trying to get really dark darks, middle tones, and then really light lights, it can be really challenging. It can be done. It requires a lot more elbow grease on the part of the artist. So this is a way to cut through the middleman, so to speak, but it's also, you know, a pretty traditional technique. It's not something that's out of the box. Artists have been doing this for a very long time. So try it out. I hope you have fun. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and stay safe. Thanks. Bye.